Hey party planners, I know you're already planning your next party, but you need to stop scrolling Pinterest right now and use my party planning template instead so you can get organized and stay on budget for your next party. I'm going to show you how in this video in 4 easy steps. I developed this party planning template over 13 years of planning parties. I've not always been organized when it comes to party planning. I used to scribble information in a notebook that would get lost or make some random Google Doc or Word doc. I don't do any of that anymore. Now I always start from my party planning template because it keeps everything organized and I always know what I have left to do and how much money I have left. One quick stop before we actually start filling out our template. We have to make a copy of the spreadsheet so that you have it in your own personal Google Drive. It's super simple and easy. All you gotta do is hit the file link in the upper left corner, go down to make a copy. If you wanted to do it in Excel, you could also go to download and then download in a Microsoft Excel file format. But I like to put everything in Google Drive, so I'm gonna make a copy for myself. I'm gonna copy it to my drive. I'm just gonna call it my baby's first birthday. And now I have a copy. So in this second step, we're going to cover setting up the template. I know this spreadsheet can be overwhelming because of the number of tabs and fields I got on here, but you can see the very first tab I have is actually a set of instructions. It's going to have all of the links to all of my blog posts where I cover how to set up this spreadsheet, how I set a guest list, how I set a budget, so you'll have tons and tons of resources as you're going through this. This spreadsheet is what's going to make sure that you know what you can splurge on and what you have to save on. So let's click into the summary tab now, and we're going to do the 30-second setup for the high-level planning. So we're going to start with the date. For us, because our son was born in December, his birthday is going to be December 2020. If you don't have a specific date, just put the month and the year for starters. Rough budget, we're actually going to skip over the budget for now because we're going to come back to it when we talk about the budget tab in step 2. For location, for us, we're going to do it at home this year, pandemic, so we're not really going to be going anywhere. For number of guests, we normally like to have a big birthday party for their first one, but again, because of the pandemic, it's just not in the cards this year. So we're going to put 25 people, and we'll talk more about how we're going to make that work and still be safe later. Now, when it comes to games, we like to do games, but we don't do traditional party games. And again, going to have more on that later. For now, I'm just going to say yes. Now, these next fields are all optional. You don't have to do them right now if you don't know them. But for me, I normally have a Pinterest board, so I'm just going to quick plug in the name of it. It's going to be Baby Sloth First Birthday. And our theme is going to be hand-drawn sloths. Our color set, we haven't fully decided on yet. It's probably going to be maybe like brown, like a dusty green, maybe some blues. So we're going to plug that in, and then as we work through this theme and as we get our ideas, we're going to come back and keep updating this and making sure everything's up to date. And then finally, these last two I don't really have anything for yet. I'd like to have links for them in case I need to come back to them later. So I'm going to delete registry, and then we're done. So we filled out our summary. The next step, step number 3, is filling out our guest list. Now, if you don't have a guest list ready yet, or you don't know who your guests are going to be yet, just skip the step, go on to step 4, making a budget. When it comes to filling out the guest list, you'll notice the very first field, the family field, is something that I came up with because over time I realized I'd been wasting a lot of time putting people individually in rows instead of grouping them as a family. So if I was going to say put the Incredibles in here, the guest name that I would actually put in would be Mrs. Incredible, because Mrs. Incredible is the person I'm going to be sending or delivering the party invitation to, but I'm going to put the entire Incredibles family together. Now the next field, the dietary field, is actually one that I came up with over time, because what I've found over the years is that people have had changing and evolving dietary needs, and so I always check in with them right before a party. So what I'll do is I'll check in with them. Hey, are you still vegetarian? Oh, you're vegan now? Great. I'll go in and I will update this. And now we have one person coming up in our dietary restriction count as vegan. But if we were to go back and actually say, no, the entire family is vegan and there's 5 guests, well, now we've got a 5 vegan count on here. So what this will let you do is by entering their dietary restrictions and the number of guests, you'll be able to get a concrete list of who has what restrictions and how you need to prepare in advance for them. The next field that we're going to talk about is the invite field. So I've noticed that sometimes this is more of a one-off scenario. People like to have more than one invitation. Sometimes it's a blended family, sometimes it's mom and dad each want one because they're going to put one in one car and one in another. It's very unusual, but I like to have the option just so I can throw an extra one in there if I need to. But we're going to put one because we're going to send this to one family. And then you'll notice at the top as we're doing this, our totals are coming up. So you don't have to go and manually count anything. You are going to get your totals right at the top up here. The next field, the RSVP field, is pretty straightforward, but basically as you get responses back and people RSVP, you can put in how many people actually are going to come. So I often have a family of people, let's say 5 people, and they'll say everyone's coming but Jack. Jack's going to stay with the babysitter. So we're going to say 4 people are RSVPing. I always have a column in here for following up with people because I always need it. And if I don't end up needing it for an individual person, I just cross it out or gray it out. The address and the phone number fields are pretty straightforward, so I'm going to skip over them, but you know what they're for. The next column, the delivery column, is another one that I've come up with over the years. We have a number of family members who, even if we did prefer doing all digital invitations, they don't have a computer or they don't have internet, or if we were going to text it to them, maybe they don't have a phone that texts. We've had all sorts of limitations that we run into when we try to go eco-friendly and go digital. So we always make sure that we have the option to say we're going to hand or mail deliver it. And one of the things that you'll notice over here is if you say you're going to mail it, you're going to get a stamp count here, and it's going to be the same type of formula. If you increase the number of invites that you put in here, you're going to increase the stamp count. So that gives you an accurate representation. When you go to the post office to get your stamps, you know exactly how many stamps you need. Now that we've completed the fundamentals, we're going to move on to step 4, setting your budget. On this sheet, there's a lot going on and a lot to take in, so I'm going to highlight the key areas and then let you go through it and work through it on your own time. You'll notice up here in the upper left, we've got our estimated cost. This is where that summary is pulling the budget number from. So if we have an idea of exactly how much we want to spend, we can just fill it out here. Let's just put $250 into show, go back to our summary, and we can see it updated to $250 here. Now, there are more sophisticated ways to do this, and instead of just filling it in, I like to actually break out each item into different categories and then let this do the hard work for me. One caution is if you're going to fill in the estimated cost at an item level instead of a category level, make sure that you don't fill it in twice. If you put $200 in food up here and then you break out $200 and some odd dollars in food down here, you're going to end up doubling your budget accidentally. So only put it in once. You'll notice that in addition to the estimated cost, there's also the total cost in the upper right. This will update automatically as you go through and enter the actual cost of the items. From here, we're going to go through and actually plug in the numbers for each category. Because we're having the party at home this year, I'm going to put $0 for location. This is where things can get a bit tricky because we have the actual cost plugged in here as examples and we have the estimated category cost over here. If I want to plug in the estimated cost per item, I'm actually going to delete the total category cost and plug these in individually. So for the design, I'm going to estimate $15, and for the invitations themselves, I'm also going to estimate $15 because I'm planning at this point to DIY them myself. If I decide I'm going to purchase them from Costco instead, I'll actually put in $27, which is a very good deal for cardstock party invitations. You can find a tutorial on how to do that at my website. Normally I'd keep going and I'd keep filling out each individual row, but because you're just here for an overview, I'm actually just going to delete these and I am going to go ahead and plug these back in. So I'm going to say $35-ish because I want 15 and 15 and like a few bucks for the stamps. And then for the food, I'm just going to go ahead and this was what we had estimated for our first son's birthday party, and it was $250, which is a little bit on the high side. So I'm going to I'm going to go ahead and say $200, which might seem low, but we're going to put more emphasis on the decorations this time and less emphasis on the food. Then coming down to drinks, this one is actually going to be pretty easy for us this time. Because we're having it at home, we're going to have great fresh tap water, so we're actually not going to have anything for water. And then for specialty drink, we're probably going to go with some kind of fun punch that's themed after the sloth theme, so maybe something jungle, something green. It's not going to be super expensive, and we've got these gorgeous canisters that I'll show you later on that we're going to put those drinks in. It'll make it look really elegant, really awesome, but it won't cost us very much. So I'm actually only going to put $5 in here. Alright, and then we're going to come down to the decorations. For decorations this year, we want to go a little bit more than what we have in the past. And you can see even here, it wasn't that inexpensive, it was $75. Because we only have 25 people, it's probably a little bit overkill, but I really want to try some new things with some DIY balloon garland designs that I've been seeing. I've got some great ideas for inexpensive designs that I can't wait to show you. So I'm gonna plug in like $75 again, and primarily that's gonna go towards the balloons, and it's gonna go towards serving stuff, and it's gonna go towards hopefully some backdrop supplies. So I'll have tutorials for all of those things coming soon, but for now I'm just gonna plug in $75. And because we don't have any actual cost yet, you'll see that this is actually all coming from the subtotal, which is coming from the actual cost. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and actually just delete these actuals because they're not relevant for this new party plan that we're working on. And primarily these are in here as examples. So we're just going to delete, and we're starting at $0. Super exciting. Let's see if we can stay in budget for this one. I'm going to keep sharing as we make progress. So now that we've completed step 4, our budget, the only things left on the spreadsheet are the to-do tab and the itinerary tab. On the to-do tab, you'll find everything left for you to do. However, for your spreadsheet, this won't be filled out, or rather it'll be filled out with examples, so you'll have to go through, delete. I like to categorize each area, and then I like to assign people or places where we're going to be getting it from, add notes, and then I also like to note if it's done so that you can filter by whether it's done or not. So this will comprise pretty much most of your party plan. And then under itinerary, here's where you can make your day of party plan, where you have notes on when you're going to begin decorating, when you're going to need to set up food, who's going to be bringing what locations. So these you can build over time, but for now, because we're just starting and we're at the very beginning, we're not going to fill out either of these just yet. Thank you for watching this DIY tutorial with me on how to use the party planning template. You can find the link for it down below in the description. Please comment, like, subscribe, share my videos, and I'll be back with another tutorial soon.